My name is Danielle Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Marketing and Programs here at the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you all for registering and attending the Financial Basics Financial Planning 101 workshop in partnership with Northwestern Mutual. This morning we have David Garcia, who's the financial representative for Northwestern Mutual, and he's going to be speaking about, the financial basics, as financial security is something many of us strive to achieve in our lives, both in our personal and our business. So when you try to do what is right for those you care about, but the wrong financial decision can often undermine the best intentions. For this workshop, David's going to be covering the 5 key considerations of know where you are today, picture where you want to be, grow your savings, protect your assets and ability to earn an income, and make your money last. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel welcome to use the Zoom chat box or the Q&A feature that will allow you to remain anonymous if you wish to do so. Throughout the entire presentation, David has given me the okay that you can interrupt him with any questions as well. If you use the little raise your hand feature as well, we'd be able to allow you to speak and personally ask David your question. That way you can have a conversation near the end or during. So thank you, David, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you mentioned you were in College Station. So that's the great thing about being virtual, that we can meet from anywhere all over the world and connect via Zoom or any live streaming platform. So thank you so much for, again, being here and imparting on us this great information.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you very much for the introduction, Danielle. Just very grateful for collaborating with you, your team, the staff, and the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce, and this nice resource of the Brownsville Chamber University. So thanks for the warm welcome and for having the housekeeping items already discussed. So yeah, with further ado, let's get started. Okay, let me share my screen here before I get started. Okay. Okay, is everybody able to hear me okay and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Danielle, again for the introduction. My name is David Garcia. I'm a financial representative with Northwest.
Real quick, your notes are on the screen. I don't know what happened.
Okay, no problem. Let me get this. Is that okay? Is that better?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I just want to get started this morning. And it's nearing the end of the year. We've had a turbulent 2020. A lot of things have happened. And during the latter part of the year, during this month, it's a good idea to evaluate, how 2020 has affected you, and what we could do looking forward to 2021 to make us a little more financially secure. So I want to start off this morning by just asking, what do you want for your future? There's a lot of things to keep in mind. Everybody has their own hopes, their dreams, financial goals, personal goals, and having a good way to start, moving towards this goals, we need to start somewhere. So if you guys have the financial fitness worksheet, I believe you're able to download that with the invitation. And if you guys have it, please reference it. And let me see if I could get it here. Give me 1 second. So it should look like this. So this financial worksheet is a good snapshot of seeing where you're at right now. So let's go through this together and answer these 8 questions. And for every true answer, you count 1 point, and for every false answer, it's 0 points. So question number 8 is, I'm clear about how much money is coming in, how much is going out, and where I spend my money each month. If this is true for you, go ahead and answer that. Next question, if I became ill or injured and couldn't work, I know exactly how much my workplace disability income insurance would pay and for how long. 3, if my car needed $1,000 in repairs or my dog needed emergency surgery, I have savings to cover the unexpected expense. Moving on to 4, I know how much I need to save for retirement. 5, I know how much credit card debt I have and how much I pay each month in interest. Moving on to 6, I know the difference between term and permanent or whole life insurance. And 7, I know my credit score. And moving on to 8, I know what I want for my future and have a written financial plan outlining what will take to make it happen. So go ahead and tally up the scores from these 8 questions. And I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. So was anybody surprised of how they scored, or didn't anticipate having these type of questions in mind until today? So looking at really quick here, if you score between 0 and 3 total points, you're a good candidate to take some initial steps to get financially fit. If you score between 4 and 6 points, you're on the right path of being financially fit, and you've made some wise choices and could benefit from making additional smart money moves. And if you scored from 7 to 8, you have an extremely high degree of financial security and well-being. You are very financially fit. So this is a good way to see where you stand right now. And on the second page of this checklist, it highlights the areas that we're going to talk a little bit further today, and we can reference this later. So let me go back to the presentation here. Okay, so the 5 areas that we're going to cover today highlight saving, spending, growing, protecting your money, and giving back to the community. Let's talk about saving. Build up savings today to cover life's goals and surprises and to help you afford the life you want tomorrow. Does anybody have an idea of how much you should be saving a month? You should be saving each paycheck about 20% of your gross paycheck. That's your total pay before taxes are taken out. So if you have an idea of what you get paid bi-weekly or monthly, write that figure down. And if you're already putting that money aside, fantastic, good for you. If not, it's an area where you could think about seeing of how you could reserve a little more each month to meet this 20% savings goal. So we'll move on to an emergency fund. An emergency fund ideally will cover 3 to 6 months of expenses in case of something emergent or urgent will come up. So how many of you guys have an emergency fund? Right, so think about that, moving forward. I know during the holidays, it may be a little difficult to have that reserved, or maybe you need to tap into it for, holiday expenses or other things that might come up at the end of the year. As I said, focusing on 2021, it's been a good idea to have this in mind. So as the slide says, 39% of all Americans wouldn't be able to cover an unexpected bill of $400 without using a credit card or borrowing the money, which those two things could cost you more money in the long run when you factor in the interest you have to pay on that borrowed amount. So a general guideline, as I mentioned, is keep an equivalent of 6 months of living expenses in an account that you can easily access. And this is usually a savings or checking account, or cash if you have it on hand. We'll move on to spending. So manage the money you have to cover what you need, what you owe, and what you want. So how many of you all track your expenses? You know, today we have very digital savvy tools, either mobile banking, online platform software that will help you manage those costs on a monthly basis. So moving on, we're gonna highlight this 20-60-20 rule. So we looked at spending, and we should be spending about 60% of our monthly income on essential expenses: housing, food, insurance, student loans, credit cards, things of that nature. If your current spending doesn't align, look for ways to adjust. And we'll move on to growing. So when you grow your money, you want to have your money work for you. The earlier you start, the more time you have for your money to work harder for your goals. So invest in ways that match your goals, your timeline, and your tolerance for risk. So this slide deck shows just the overall effects of starting early as opposed to starting late. So investor A is highlighted in yellow and invested $100 per month from age 25 to 65 with a total of $48,000 invested. When the investor A reaches retirement age between 64 and 65, they'll have $208,669 saved, as opposed with investor B that started a little late, later in life, 35 to 65, so the 30-year window. That investment amount goes down to about $36,000 invested, and within that time frame, investor B will have $106,596 at hand, and investor C, starting at age 45, for the same amount, $100 a month, reaching 65, will have $49,599. So the sooner you start, the harder your money can work for you. So it's a very good idea to get guidance and contact and connecting with a financial professional that will help you discuss your goals. Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? What investments you currently have in mind that you want to pursue, and having a detailed and strategy to meet those goals. So prioritize your goals and create a personalized plan that's unique to you. Everybody's got different needs and different goals. And
your audio is crackling. I don't know what the issue would be, but it goes in and out when you're speaking.
Okay, let me try something else.
That right there sounded better.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, very good. It must have been my earpiece. I apologize for that. So we're moving into the protect aspect of financial security. So you've worked hard to get where you're at today, help protect your loved ones and safeguard your most important financial assets. Money of you already saved and take into account future paychecks. So protect your ability to earn an income. 1 in 4 people will be disabled at some point in their career. So disabilities can be caused by back problems, strokes, complications in pregnancy, uncontrolled diabetes, and cancer. So how many of you have group disability income insurance from your employer? Most employers offer this coverage. So it would be a good idea if you don't have an idea of what amount or what percentage your employer covers, it'll be a good idea to check in with your human resource department to get those answers. So group disability income insurance through your employer, most group plans have some sort of cap. And this is why I mentioned to contact your HR if you don't have this amount. So usually about 60% of your income is covered through your disability income insurance through your employer. So what if you weren't there to financially support your family in case of an unforeseen event, such as this illness that were covered earlier? So consider buying additional life insurance outside your employer plans, because it gives you the freedom to own that policy no matter where you're employed or what type of coverage your employer has. So it's a policy that you own that will be with you as long as you keep it in force. So if you decide to buy life insurance, make sure you understand the different types. There's term and permanent and whole life. So those are the main two different versions of life insurance. So what causes matter most to you, right? So moving on to the giving portion of financial security. A lot of us nowadays during the holidays, we may be donating money to the Salvation Army or to another donation fund or a community outlet, right? For either COVID-resistant, COVID impacted families. I know the Chamber of Commerce does a good job in distributing those resources and having ongoing communication of where we could give and who or what type of individuals need more help. So think about where would you like to make a difference? So this was a very high level overview, just financial security and planning. And it's always a good idea to cover the basics, right? So ideally a strong financial plan starts with a goal in mind and implementing that goal throughout your working years, right? So especially nowadays, there's been a lot of volatility with our economy. A lot of communities have been impacted, especially in the border. So there is a lot of ambiguity and anxiety when it comes to your current financial situation and in moving on in the future. So how does that look like? So the foundation is just having a good grasp of what comes in, what goes out, how you're spending your money, tracking your money, being disciplined and mindful of not spending money on miscellaneous things, right? And it's a little difficult to begin at first, but once you get started, just like following a diet or a fitness plan, you're not going to see the results right off the bat. It takes time for those results to gradually manifest, right? But I just wanted to cover these really high level items of focusing on saving your money, using the 20-60-20 rule. You want to have 20% of savings for your monthly checks, spend 60% of your money on your household items, and 20% of your monthly income on discretionary spending, miscellaneous items, and that also falls into giving and donating. Any questions so far?
I'm sorry. Would the 20-60-20 rule also apply for businesses and managing their money, or would that work a little bit different?
No, that will also apply, right? So the costs on those percentages obviously will look different for business owners, but business owners have unique or different financial matters. So it's meeting payroll, covering operating expenses. And access to cash or liquidity is also of concern. So ideally, for businesses, you want to follow a variation of the 20-60-20 rule, but that more applies for personal planning, right? So when it comes into whatever revenue a business owner may have in at the end of the month, or even, you know, most of us, if we have a little extra cash, you know, pay yourself first. You want to save. You don't want to withhold saving for your long-term needs, for your retirement, you know, before maybe spending on other items. So pay yourself first, and that 20% is a good rule of thumb. And then obviously operating expenses for business owners, or monthly household expenses for most of us, are things that we also need to focus on. So the way we spend, the way we pay those bills, if we're paying bills with credit cards or borrowed money, you know, it may complicate the financial security picture, right, when you're trying to highlight. So it's just a matter of getting into a disciplined plan. What helps out a whole lot is write your goals down. You know, what are your goals in the next 2 to 3 years, 5 to 10 years, and 15 years plus, right? Write them down. For some reason, when you write down goals, you're more prone to follow them. You're more disciplined. They're in your mind, and track how you go, right? So it's all about being disciplined and structured. I know when I was younger, you know, these type of talks, these type of things were a little hazy. But you know, we go through our careers, we work hard to you know, earn our paycheck, and you know, we never know when, you know, an unforeseen circumstance may come up, especially with COVID. I've seen a lot of, you know, families impacted, you know, in various ways, and those that have a little breathing room today had a solid financial plan. More so was just having an emergency fund. When my wife and I got married 5 years ago, that was one of our main goals together. I know planning together with your spouse may be a challenge, right? There's different mindsets there, but when you focus on, you know, what matters to you guys the most, that is a good way to start. So an emergency fund is a good way to give you a little more breathing room, because you know it's there, but it serves for unforeseen circumstances. So ideally, you want to have $1,000 in a emergency fund, but then again, $1,000 may look different for somebody that has, you know, more expenses than that, looking at a 6-month window. So I'm not able to see any questions that came up, but I'm willing to answer any questions or any other concerns that the audience may have.
Yeah, so anybody who's on the call, either through Zoom or on Facebook Live now, you can leave any questions you have or comments you have about the material that was presented in the comment section. Or if you're on Zoom, you can also use the Q&A button that should be located on the bottom of your screen. Also, you have the option to raise your hand. That way you can go ahead and ask your question to David when we unmute your microphone. I know financial security was a big aspect that came into a lot of people's minds, and a lot of businesses as well, as the pandemic started, because it was unforeseen, and we, through our COVID-19 Rapid Response Program in partnership with the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation and the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, we got to talk to over 900 businesses in our community, and many of those businesses struggled with not having a safety net, not planning for the future, or any unforeseen circumstances that may have arisen through their business. So I know that a lot of these topics were very important now, but I'm glad that they're coming up now. That way our business owners can get more knowledgeable and be prepared if anything like this were to happen again.
Absolutely. This was the title was basic. This is very basics, high level. I have other presentations that we could dive a little deeper on each of these 5 sections, but I just wanted to have this session, and I'm glad some people were able to jump on board. But we look at financial planning as playing defense and offense. So on a defensive side, as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure you have the right coverage in place in form of life insurance if something unforeseen were to happen to you. What would you want your loved ones to have in case in the sense or in the circumstance that you wouldn't be here to provide for that. Also, an emergency fund can highlight the importance of that, of having at least something in reserve to tap into in case something happens. And also disability income insurance, either through your employer or through another entity. So that is the defensive side of financial planning. And offensive now comes into, once you have that foundation laid out, and then you could start looking at ways of, how do you want to invest your money, and what risk tolerance you have to grow that money, for how long, and also keep in mind what amount you would like to have in retirement that takes into account your current lifestyle, your future lifestyle, and expenses that might come up later in life. So I just wanted to highlight that. I'm not sure who in the audience has experience with this, but early on, and being a Brownsville native, these conversations, at least for me, speaking for myself, around the family and dinner table didn't come up a whole lot often. But now, once you have a family, you start family, you get a house, these financial situations can become stressful, and they're even more stressful when we're not really prepared or have an idea of what we want to do, where you want to start. So I just wanted to have time with you guys this morning just to highlight these things. And also, you were able to have a couple of items. I included a financial glossary, the checklist that we went through, and also an evaluation form. So that form basically is, if you guys have this on your mind, I'd love to connect with you guys further. Anybody who wants to explore this on a little more personal level, no obligations. In the beginning, I didn't really highlight of what Northwestern Mutual is or what we do. So Northwestern Mutual, we specialize in insurance, investments, financial planning, and retirement planning. So, moving forward, looking at 2021 and beyond, there's a lot of insecurity that we may be feeling right now, or ambiguity of, how's the economy? How are we going to look like in the future? What's the state of my current employment? I understand that. So to offset that thought process, if you have on your personal side a little wiggle room, a little breathing room, it makes navigating through those decisions, those obstacles, a little less stressful. So just looking forward, really think about what you could start doing today to make your tomorrow easier. Let's see here. Any other questions, Danielle?
No, I did see that there was a comment about the additional pamphlets and material.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and send it to everyone again that registered on Zoom. That way you have it in your emails and you can go back and look through them. If you're on Facebook Live watching us right now, you can either leave a comment with your email address, or you can message our Facebook page, That way I know what it's about, and I can go ahead and send you those additional material to your email.
Perfect. And again, as I mentioned, this was a very basic presentation, but looking forward, I'd love to connect with people further individually, or I'll collaborate with the Chamber and your team, Danielle, for 2021, so we could see what other areas that people may want to be presented, and I could take a deeper dive on these sections. But for me, when I started in this business, the 20-60-20 rule for me looked a lot more like 40-60, right? Or 20-80 in some areas. So it definitely takes some inner thoughts of what am I doing, what am I really spending my money on, and it's just a matter of getting disciplined. And my job as a financial representative is just to assist people along the way. People find themselves in different situations, but I'm there to coach you and hold you accountable on the things that we discuss together. But I'd love to share more with you on a personal side, once we end this presentation and looking in the future. So thank you very much for your time today. And for those that were able to join, and Danielle, thank you for facilitating this meeting today. And I couldn't see people. I was going through the slides, but we're adapting to this new normal of communicating digitally, and there's some obstacles that we need to configure first, but I love connecting and adapting. So it seems like most of us are doing that more and more nowadays.
For sure. I do want to thank you for taking the time, like I mentioned this morning, to get our community more informed. I know it was the basic stuff, but
Right.
the basic stuff is going to lead you on to setting that foundation. That way you can, get that base level information. And then as we continue to do more of these webinars, you'll go ahead and build on your knowledge, and the resources that you have in your back pocket will come in handy. I know that
Right.
for me, especially during the pandemic, when everything was online, I had no issue shopping online. It was very easy. But as we've held these webinars on financial literacy of all topics with different partners, I've come to learn that although it may be easy to give into like shopping online, it's also more beneficial to start saving, put money aside, because as we've all known and have seen throughout the pandemic since March, there's no guarantee of what tomorrow holds. Things are constantly changing, and you never know what's going to come up the next day or even that same day. So I do want to thank you for imparting your knowledge to our community. And if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and share your contact information with all of the emails that I have. That way they can go ahead and follow up with you if they have any additional questions or want to set a meeting with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And I apologize to you or the audience if you guys couldn't hear me. I know I was looking through the comments of you couldn't hear me and I was crackling. And I also had, I didn't see the slides that on my end, but anyway, we worked through it, and thank you for your time, everybody, and again for you, Danielle, and your team to facilitate this morning.
Thank you, everyone. If you want to get more information on the webinars and upcoming events that we have, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where we have all the recordings of all previous webinars. On our website, brownsvillechamber.com, you'll be able to see the list of the calendar of events, And then that way you can see what interests you, both from the chamber side, our members, and the community of what's going on out there. And then that way you're all informed at the same time. If you have any questions or you need any guidance on a personal or business matters, you can go ahead and give us a call at 956-542-4341 or email us at info@brownsvillechamber.com. And we're always happy to assist you with anything. If we don't have the answers, one of our members will have the answers, one of our community partners will have the answers, and we can get you that contact information that you need. Once again, thank you so much. Please have a great and safe afternoon. Bye.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Yes, happy holidays.
Bye-bye.